Chapter 7, Geography and Early History of South Asia. Topic 1, The Shape of the Land. Millions of years ago, a huge land mass in the southern hemisphere, known as Gondwanaland, began to break up and its parts drifted away from each other. One part drifted slowly northward until it eventually collided with another vast landmass, the mainland of Asia. The force of the collision was enormous. The earth buckled and broke, pushing up the Himalaya and Hindu Kush mountains. The Himalayas and Hindu Kush formed barriers separating South Asia from the rest of Asia. Although people kept moving through the passes in the mountains, South Asia developed its own identity. South Asia is a large triangular peninsula that juts southward from the continent of Asia. South Asia is bounded on the north by the Hindu Kush and the Himalayan mountains. The rest of South Asia is surrounded by water. The Arabian Sea lies to the west, the Indian Ocean to the south, and the Bay of Bengal to the east. These bodies of water set the region apart from other regions, but have not isolated it. For thousands of years, these seas have served as highways. They have linked the peoples of South Asia with other parts of the world. Another name for South Asia is the Indian subcontinent. A subcontinent is a large landmass that is smaller than a continent. Today, 8 independent nations occupy this region. Although India is by far the largest, South Asia also includes Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan, and the island nations of Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Afghanistan, in the northwest, is also often considered part of South Asia. At its widest, the subcontinent stretches about 2,500 miles, or 4,023 kilometers, from east to west, and nearly the same distance from north to south. This vast region contains a variety of landforms. 3 of these landforms shape the major geographic regions of South Asia: the Northern Mountains, the Northern Plains, and the Deccan Plateau. Northern Mountains. As you have read, mountains separate South Asia from the rest of the continent. Stretching 1,500 miles, or 2,414 kilometers, from east to west, the snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas rise above the clouds. They create a massive wall that separates the Indian subcontinent from the interior of Asia. Many of the world's tallest mountains are found in the Himalayas. At least 50 of the mountains are more than 5 miles or 8 kilometers high, including Mount Everest, which is on the border of Nepal and Tibet. To the northwest lie the Hindu Kush. While smaller in area than the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush are nearly as high and certainly as rugged. Indeed, the word Kush means death, and the mountains were probably given this name because of the danger they pose to people crossing them. Mountain passes. Although the mountains form a barrier, they can be crossed. In the west, several passes cut through the mountains, making movement possible between the Indian subcontinent and other parts of Asia. Among the best known is the Khyber Pass, through the Hindu Kush. For thousands of years, traders and invaders have made their way through mountain passes and descended into India. Mountain valleys. The northern mountains are important for other reasons. The great river systems of the subcontinent have their sources in streams fed by melting snows from the mountains. Also, among the mountains lie high valleys, where farmers grow crops such as wheat and rice, and herders raise goats. People living in these isolated valleys have developed their own way of life. In one of these valleys, the Kashmir Valley, the goats produce a fine wool, known to the Western world as Kashmir. Northern Plains. Just south of the Himalayas and the Hindu Kush is the northern, or Indo-Gangetic Plain. It stretches in a great curve from Pakistan across India into Bangladesh. Much of the area benefits from the 3 large rivers of the subcontinent that have their source in the Himalayas: the Indus, the Ganges, and the Brahmaputra. These rivers and their many tributaries carry silt from the mountains that fertilizes the farmland on the plains. They also provide a reliable source of water for irrigation. A steady source of water, fertile soil, and a long growing season combine to make the Indo-Gangetic Plain densely populated. Hundreds of millions of people live in the cities and on the farms on the northern plains. Throughout the region, farmers raise rice, wheat, and jute, a plant used to make twine and burlap. A popular national hymn, Hail Motherland, celebrates the riches of the Indian land. I bow to thee, mother, richly watered, richly fruited, cool with the winds of the south, dark with the crops of the harvest, the mother. Rivers. The Indus rivers empty into the Arabian Sea. The Indus is the principal river of Pakistan, and a majority of Pakistanis live in the Indus River basin. The Indus is also important in South Asia's history. The region's earliest civilization developed in the Indus Valley. The word Indus, which means river, is the source of the name India. The Ganges River has its beginnings in an ice cave high in the Himalayas. The river flows eastward across India and then, near its mouth, joins the Brahmaputra in Bangladesh. Together, the two rivers create an enormous delta on the Bay of Bengal. The delta region, located in Bangladesh, has very fertile soil but is subject to terrible flooding. Rivers are sacred to most of the people of South Asia. The most holy river is the Ganges, and shrines and temples line its banks. Each year, thousands of pilgrims come to purify themselves in the river and to take home some of the waters for ceremonies. Even though rivers may cause great flood damage, their waters are essential to life. Thar Desert. At the western end of the northern plains lies the Thar Desert. This vast desert covers 100,000 square miles, or 259,000 square kilometers, of India and Pakistan, an area about the size of Colorado. The Thar features a barren landscape of sand dunes, sandy plains, and low hills. While rainfall is scarce, some grasses do grow here. Nomadic herders graze flocks of sheep and goats in the Thar Desert. Deccan Plateau. South of the Great Plains lies the triangular Deccan Plateau. It is a region of high, flat land crossed by many rivers and broken by low, rolling hills. The Deccan occupies nearly half of South Asia. Millions of tiny farms dot the countryside. Farmers there raise millet, cotton, wheat, and rice. Vindhya Mountains. Mountains border the Deccan Plateau on three sides. In the north are the Vindhya Mountains. Mountains separate the plateau from the Indo-Gangetic Plain. The Vindhyas are rugged but low compared to South Asia's other mountain ranges. Their highest point is about 3,600 feet, or 1,097 meters. According to an Indian myth, the Vindhya Mountains were much once higher, but Vindhya, the spirit of the mountains, became puffed up with pride. At last he became so big that he kept the sun from reaching the Himalayas, the home of the gods. Angered, the gods sent Agastya, a well-known wise man, to warn Vindhya of their displeasure. Seeing Agastya, Vindhya bowed as a sign of respect. "Stay that way until I return," advised Agastya. The wise man never returned, which is why the Vindhya Mountains are much lower than the Himalayas. The Vindhya Mountains mark the boundary between northern and southern India. For centuries they made travel and communication difficult and contributed to the development of regional cultures. People did migrate south, however. From time to time, invaders from the north conquered the Deccan as well. The arrival of newcomers added to the diversity of the region. The Ghats. In the east and west, two other low-lying mountain ranges fringe the Deccan Plateau. The Ghats, named for the many ghats, or passes that cut through them. The western Ghats border on the Arabian Sea. When Europeans reached South Asia in the 1500s, these mountains helped prevent their movement into the interior. The eastern Ghats are a disconnected range of hills that face the Bay of Bengal. Near the city of Madras are broad valleys through which Europeans entered South India and acquired territory in the 1700s.